We're roasting Christopher Mobley's YouTube channel right now. He has only 11 subscribers, but in order for him to become the world's most famous YouTuber of all time, hitting 150 subscribers, he needs to post more content, but his videos were in private, which is not fair, and he needs to stop unpirating his videos, which were very illegal to do. Just because I did this stream a little bit earlier than unexpected, so I would suggest maybe not filming a video for more than 2 weeks because it's my 2 hour break from having this situation of going to school. No matter whose class is attending, the idea of sending people to a different school that most students really like to play, which were really a lot more chaotic than ever as usual. So I would say thank you to everybody that is attending the last day of school, which is crazy. So now I cannot deal with people in person because I like to stay at home, maybe stream sometimes, and maybe just go out. Personally, I do a lot of fun stuff happening on my channel. Across other platforms, we see that France is having 1 point while the other team has no point at all. You were not here because of school days, because teachers and students may need to align the class into a separate room that we're able to focus and maybe just learn about similar things that we already done for the past years. One of my best memories of this year was meeting new friends, going out to a different school, and and finding out what was the problem based on the situation that most students were having. So people in Germany thinks that school was annoying, and I do agree sometimes because most students would not even concentrate. Like, what if people don't understand their abilities to educate? Most students may need to take a lot of time working on exams or anything. If they grew older by the time they start having a situation where everybody needs to talk to, there are a bunch of massive adults that came by and just help out with people that really need to take part of the conversation. I know sometimes people might have bad weather in some countries, but they need to prevent that from happening due to the climate weather that is supposedly just to erupt the whole entire building. It sounds a lot more chaotic, like wherever, if most people wouldn't be able to listen unless they get a certain amount of phone calls from someone that they actually know. Yeah, I don't know why that happened, but maybe somebody would actually pick it up and then just replace it with another styrofoam so that it doesn't really have to be falling off from a building. And sometimes it is taller than the actual school from the US because it was so big that they constructed for more than 1 month, which is very absurd. Sometimes they do it one by one, they need to understand what was the situation, how we can identify based on that problem due to the solution that we have. But you really told the principal about the styrofoam that fell on the ground, and he just said no, which is very unusual, and sometimes people might refuse to do everything that they said, and jobs are like busy. Sometimes they might want to keep things far apart from each other. In Germany, most schools are strict, but in other countries, they have school across everywhere. For example, in Africa, they usually have a orphanage, which is known as basic education or school that most people would like to attend to. Most people cannot walk due to people that is not wearing shoes accordingly to get to school, but sometimes they actually walk barefooted. And teachers say, no, you must not be barefooted unless if you have shoes on. Sometimes they might have rules in each country. Although teachers can obey them by forcing everyone just to listen what everyone's saying. It's not really that identical. And sometimes when they learn, their education starts to go up higher and higher. Carlos, good to see you. Foxy, good to see you. So, as I was saying, most people cannot speak English very well. They speak other languages too. They call it bilingual. For people that speak Spanish, they always had to take Spanish class. Most teachers can really identify who speaks German, Spanish, and every language that they usually learn about, which they're known as a multi-language. In summary, we close off based on the education or language speaking, just to identify whose person that was speaking in different languages. Process of speaking when they hear the words over and over again. That's called self-repeat. No matter how many people can speak different languages at one time, just to clarify, everybody needs to speak American for all at once. Not many countries were able to talk about everything, right? You know, Albanian, Russian, Turkish, and Macedonian. Those were the languages that they actually speak for most countries. English is a natural language for everybody that can speak properly. But people with disabilities, people may not speak differently. But sometimes, based on their races or different genders with many different colors of their faces, we can identify them as Africans, Asian, and sometimes people might need to learn a lot of basic languages and they need to know whose identity that was so that people can understand their face color. If the face color was changed from white to black, that means they come from Egypt, Zambia, Africa, and you know. But Michael Jackson died long time ago when he started his own music career. He went on to the stage and start singing to the whole entire audience. Maybe he just went to the hospital thinking that he was having cancer or not. So, but this is not really how it all happened. This is really frustrating that Michael Jackson passed away, but somehow he still thinks that of the surgery he was trying to do because plastic surgery can be a lot more humiliating. Of course, he was black all the time. He started making albums for everybody so that they can hear the songs that they created. So he went to New York and then moved to Canada and moved to anywhere. But he basically wanted to turn himself white. But then all of a sudden, he wanted to stay black because Michael Jackson was furious that the families was gotten into him. So not only if this happens, there was a lot of things that he really did. Long time ago, he was a little kid. He wanted to abusing him right away. So then he was upset. And then as he grew older, by the time he was graduating college, elementary, and middle school, and of course high school as well, he knows how to play a song very well. No matter if they're black or white, you couldn't just blame other people based on their gender or people that they really know. And sometimes they need to understand how people might feel based on trying to humiliate against each other. It's not okay just to laugh at them or just try to make fun of each other, which is very absurd and sometimes it can be mischievous as well. Nobody would ever do that unless they are heartbroken because the person is trying to get abused by. And how did this all happen? Well, doing something that he tried to do. Well, personally, he was been sent to the hospital for everything. His parents were so worried for him about the person that he was trying to get, and normally he was been caught fire onto his hair, and even though the ambulance came by to see him, so at least it wasn't supposed to happen like this whenever the instrumental thought has came upon him, which were very serious, and he just wanted to sleep after all. So he was put into a cemetery based on how he was dead. So he went on a full rampage based on the situation that he was trying to get because, you know, maybe sometimes people need to understand a bit better without having to discourage their own thought. Maybe I need to explain this a bit more on the further detail, but we can consider having a situation based on having a stand-up comedian or a person that is singing on stage might might end up just losing fatality. While he was gone, there was a lot of things happening towards this year. Hopefully, there might not be a major drama, Otherwise, there could be a possible endless situation where everything needs to be exactly going wrong. Now, this is really contagious, even though they were trying to pay off money for using debt, which is literally impeccable. I truly understand your message, but we couldn't really identify the problem or how we can desegregate the whole entire platform for most people that were trying to entertain themselves. It's very not obvious that most people would try to disobey each other without having its own sanity. Back to present. As I was saying, I really missed my friends because they were graduating at this point, and I felt worried for some of them. They had taken off their privileges just to go to work on time and getting paid. So now they do it on their own, without help, of course. You're eating ramen? That's cool. But it's like a Japanese related. I think it was taken back in Japan. Maybe if you want to travel to a country where they actually have noodles, I call this the long noodle that they have in Japan, but sometimes they make it curly as well. When they actually buy the ramen, you can really see the difference that it was not microwaved. And sometimes when they actually microwave it, they think that it was hot. But when they put hot water, it was evaporating a bit more. So the reason why I get trapped out of the house because my brother refused to open the door for it. And sometimes when I actually finish the lesson, this happens. Or actually, whenever we buy something, my mom texted my brother saying that we had to open the door for us since we came back. But then the lock just keeps on closing the door accidentally, and then we had to use a open gate just to get ourselves in. And maybe we had to use the back door in order to make it into the house safely. This is called a dangerous hazard, and I cannot believe what was supposedly about to happen, and this is very serious for all of us. And some of you might be thinking what was the problem of it. Now you know why everything has gone extremely bad for this year. Thank you guys so much for watching. I know this is a bit of an explanation talk just for once, and maybe I should do more of this maybe later, but I don't know. Maybe if I should do it in the future, then we'll possibly do it later. Thank you guys for coming along to the stream. I'm ending. Peace!